Okay, everyone, I have 10:35, so we're going to get started. Good morning again, and hopefully we'll have a few others join as we go along. This is Heidi Muyeso-Kunzman, and I'm an Associate Director with the Northeast Regional Center for Rural Development and an Extension Associate with the Community and Regional Development Program at Cornell University. I'm on today with my center colleagues, Director Stefan Getz and Associate Director Mary Peabody. On behalf of the entire Northeast Regional Center, we're very pleased to welcome you to the third webinar in our Highlights series. For those of you who are new to this series, it is designed to increase the visibility of research and extension activities throughout the Northeast that are designed to strengthen rural communities and support community and economic development. We want to emphasize that we're really excited to do this to feature the work of our partners throughout the region, and really want to emphasize that it's not just the work at the center, but those of our partners. So in doing so, we hope to enhance the awareness of these activities and in turn catalyze collaboration among those of us working in this area. So today we're very pleased to have Stefan Tubene join us to talk about his work relating to small farms in Maryland. Dr. Tubene is an associate professor of agricultural economics at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore and project co-director of the Maryland Outreach for Socially Disadvantaged Farmers and Ranchers project. He's also a member of the center's technical advisory committee. As a small farm specialist, Stefan's responsibilities include developing effective alternative agricultural enterprises, farm management and marketing programs for Maryland small farmers and small business audiences. He also promotes and coordinates the activities of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Cooperative Extension and promotes the adoption of alternative enterprises and marketing strategies. Before turning the floor over to Stefan, I just want to review a couple of logistical details that we hope will ensure that the webinar runs smoothly today. It's being recorded, and the archived recording will be posted on the NERCRD website. And although we're conversing through speakerphone, our voices are also being projected through the Adobe Connect site and thus will come through your computer speakers if it's not turned off. If you are on by phone, we do ask that you mute your computer speakers so that we can prevent any feedback. I think right now it's just really Stefan and I that are on that. So we encourage questions and comments, and Stefan will pause in the middle of the presentation for some questions, and then we'll also leave some time at the end for additional questions. And so we encourage those through the chat box. And with that, Louis, do you have any questions? Stefan or Mary? I guess we're set to go then. Great. Okay, Stefan.
Yes, thanks, Heidi, for that generous introduction. I would like to greet you for taking part on this meeting on webinar. The focus of the presentation today will be to present some of the work that we are doing here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and also our collaboration with other entities in the region. I also would like to share a little bit on what is going on with our small farmers in the region, but also with our students and how we get them connected in small farming issues. As you know, the small farm definition is very complex. So I will be giving some definition of the small farm. And I know the Northeast Regional Center for Rural Development has conducted some of the talk over the webinar to present the mission and goals. I will project briefly the mission and goals, but mostly focus on our linkage and our collaboration. And finally, I will discuss some of the work that the Department of Agriculture and Resource Sciences is doing, and that's where my program is housed. My definition will be taken out of ERS, and even though ERS is giving a comprehensive definition of small farm, I will emphasize on beginning farmers and also new farmers. And those two terms are not well defined when it comes to farm topology by ERS. According to ERS, the small farm or small family farms are classified into different sections or segments. The first one is known as limited resource farms, and those are small farms with gross sales less than 100,000. The second category is retirement farms, and those are small farms whose operations report that they are retired. And the third one is the residential or lifestyle, and those are small farms that report a major occupation other than farming. Of course, we see that in that classification, people who live, and especially I'm talking about this area in Washington, D.C. suburb, where the residential, they live far from the big city, but they enjoy a lifestyle of living on the farm and maybe planning on putting some acreage of vineyard for future exploitation in terms of upcoming income. And then you have family farming occupations that have lower sales of less than 100,000, but with operation, the operator reporting that they have their farming as major occupation. And then, of course, all of these farms or small farms, the gross sale must be less than 250,000. And the last category is the farming occupation with higher sales, which is above 100,000, but less than 250,000. Now, this is the topology developed by ERS. I would like now to go on and talk about the beginning farmers. As you will recall, back in 2009, in September 2009, we had the 5th Small Farm Conference, and that conference featured a pre-conference courses that Cathy Roof from New England and myself, we gave a presentation on beginning farmers and special groups of farmers, including what we call new farmers. And the beginning farmer includes people who have been either looking for farming occupations, and this can vary from 1 to 10 years, and some of them are still at the very beginning stage, and some of them are well established, but it takes time to become a confirmed or very established farmer. There is a link there that you can go on and click there, and you will see the proceedings from that presentation. And of course, there was a website on pre-conference short course, and if we click at the same website, it will take you to the proceeding with some of the discussion, which I will not go into detail. Now, those are the audience that we serve at 1890s, as you all know. I see Louis Rivers online, and he's from Kentucky State University, and is a colleague that, and myself, including myself, we serve this special segment of small farm. Now, in the new farmers category, we have what we call immigrant farmers, but we also have minority farmers. Now, in regard to immigrant farmers, we have farmers coming, or people coming from Asia. You have Hmong population, you have Korean population. Hmong population, usually they are well established in California, but you have some of them also in part of the New England. And you have the African communities that, especially the Sudanese and Somalis, are classified as immigrant farmers. And we also work with people from Jamaica. Most likely, they tend to go into the production of ethnic crops or ethnic livestock, mainly goats. Here in Maryland Eastern Shore, we do have quite a few number of farmers who come from Jamaica and focusing on raising goods because of the high demand in this area, and there is not enough, and even the meat is also very expensive. And then we have Hispanic population. In the last 5 years or so, in Paulsboro area, where near Princess Anne, where UMES is located, we have seen influx of farmers of Hispanic descendants, and these farmers also specialize mostly in ethnic crops or ethnic vegetables. Now, I mentioned in the bottom of that slide that there is a NIFI. NIFI is a New Immigrant Farming Initiative, and this organization, I am on the board, and what they do is to help immigrant farmers establish. As you know, it's very difficult to get into U.S. agriculture if you don't have a background of the U.S. agriculture. So here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, in collaboration with those organizations, we help those immigrant farmers get needs, taken care of, and especially when it comes to USDA programs. And then we have another set of new farmers, which we classify as minority farmers, and that include African American, Native American, Asian American, Hispanic American, and women. Now, those new farmers, what we found out along our work with them, they do have unique characteristics. As we know, small farming is already very stressful, but then even more so for those new farmers who come from different cultures. So therefore, you look at the lifestyle, you look at the cultural barrier, you look at the language barrier, and they also have limited resources. And then they do have lack of connections and networking, and sometimes they don't know government programs that are being offered. So therefore, in that addressing those looking at those unique characteristics, we need to tailor programs to meet those needs. For instance, the English language is very difficult sometimes for those newcomers. So we try to help them connect with where the English as second language or trainings, even in their communities where churches, they tend to offer those courses, so we can direct them in that direction. And also, we provide some special agricultural related courses, which I call here Ag 101 or Marketing 101. And the risk management tool. So we offer courses, especially on weekends. That's when they are not occupied doing other jobs. As you know, those farmers, even though they are in farming, but they supplement their income with off-farm income. So we need to address those by providing training, especially on weekends. For instance, last weekend we had a small farm conference, the 5th small farm conference here on campus of UMU, and we were able to attract about more than 200 farmers come to those meetings. We offer more opportunities. We help them locate grants, and also we try to provide guidance for government loans through FSA. So all the grant writing also, we help them as I said, the challenge that those new farmers face will be the lifestyle or scheduling. So I touch base on that. So we tend to schedule those programs around their own schedule so that we don't disturb whatever they have been doing for so many years. We need to be very sensitive to their culture, and what I found out is that those farmers, you need to win. You have to win their trust. Like I was sharing some times ago, I was saying that sometimes the farmers, even though I am not 100% in extension, but those farmers, after I have transitioned from extension, even though I still do some of them, those farmers, they keep calling. So they call you because they know that they can trust you and they have established that trust. So that's very important, especially when it comes to working on one-on-one with those farmers. We try, especially for Hispanic population, we try to provide publications that are written in their language or get some translation for those publications so that they can have access to information. The outreach part is we have to know how to find our audience, and then the audience has to be able to get the information they needed. And this could be through phone calls, so we need to design those programs such that we can reach one by one rather than the traditional way of expecting them to come to us, which I assume most of the 1890 faculty in extension they are aware of. So we need to advertise our programs through different venues, even using church connections or personal touch or even personal phone calls so that they can have access to those meetings. Again, the extension tools that we use, what has been working, that's the land grant extension model, which require one-on-one, even though we are shrinking resource and budget, but still we try to keep that personal touch. We do workshops on weekends, like I said, and also do trials and demonstrations. In the second part of my presentation, that's where I will discuss some of the experiment we have run at the experimental station, where we cultivate or we grow ethnic vegetables, and then we bring the farmers to come and see how those ethnic vegetables are being raised at the farm, and also be able to develop some budget for those ethnic vegetables, and also developing market outlets where they can go and sell those produce. Now, other venues will be through community college and private universities and high schools. This is what other education institutions have done. So through private contact, if some of those farmers are in those venues, those areas taking courses, we can also approach them that way. We can also go through NGOs and bulletin board and also advertisement. Now, the internet-based approach, this is very limited because of the limited access. You have a select group of farmers who may have access to the internet, but mostly we don't rely heavily on internet, except those that have been associated or initiated to the internet, so that we can also send them information or refer them to the website so that they can get the information they need. I will pause here and take some questions.
And Stefan, we had one come across while you were talking that I think relates very closely to what you were just talking about in terms of outreach. Stefan Getz asked if there are differences in how you approach different groups, so the different ethnic groups that you mentioned. Do you have any general lessons for tools or techniques or methods or approaches that you use with different groups?
Yes. For instance, for Hispanic population here on campus, what we have done is we do have some students from Chile, for instance, or from Hispanic backgrounds. So we have used part-time students on our part-time job to help us reach those farmers that do not speak English. But when it comes to others that speak English, what we do is that we develop a specific relationship with them, or we go through the church if they are there, and then we will address also that through the pastor, or also the visit at the farm. I know in the traditional outreach, they are cutting back on going to the farm, but in our system, we still do that. Or we can also take small group of farmers to another farm where they can see the practices that we would like to introduce to them. For instance, here on campus, we've done a small forest tour where we take farmers, limited resource farmers, to those who have been in the business, and then introduce them to those new enterprises. So there are diverse ways, and also phone calls. Once we have their phone number, and then we keep a roster where we call them, and then we approach them, and then we even ask for special visits, and then we go and visit them. So they tend to relate to the extension educators if they have a special connection. Like what I'm saying is that even though you are not in that program anymore, and if they come across any problems, so they will feel confident to call you on the phone and express their view and so forth. So yeah, those different methods, phone calls, through churches, also through the communities or focus groups where we take farmers to different parts of the community and introduce them to different enterprises.
Thanks, Stefan. I have a follow-up question. Can you explain more about your program or your outreach through high schools? Is that through families of, like reaching out to families who are farming through their kids, or is that actually reaching out to young farmers from these ethnic groups?
Yeah, what happened is that sometimes through personal relationships, if the youngsters that they have attended some programs here on campus, and then if they see a certain connection with what we do and what the parents would like to do, so we will use that as a connection to those families and then address the needs that they have. And also through recommendations. For instance, we may have people from NEFI group recommending us to go to a certain communities where we have access to students, or even here on our on campus, we have summer camp, and if we have that connection with youngsters when they come, and then they express the interest that the parents have been involved in farming, so we go ahead and then approach that and reach them such that we can help them get whatever they need.
It sounds like a very diverse and nicely integrated number of outreach forums that you're working with. That's neat.
Yes, I think Heidi, you're right, because what happened is that we don't wait for them to come, but we go to them in any means that we can find possible. For instance, we have many farmers coming to our meeting, and they don't know what to start, where to start and how to start. And then what we do usually is we sit with them, and then we present them options. And then through those options, they may also have a friend. I will give an example of a chef from Washington, D.C., who got connected to our program because he knew a farmer who was doing where there is a NIFI, that's the New Immigrant Farming Initiative. They are organizing the first conference in New Mexico. So do you want to go to this meeting? And we were able to provide scholarships for them to go. So they came to this meeting, and then they connected with other farmers from different parts of the world. I would say from Jamaica, from Togo, from Sudan or Mali. So, and then from that experience, they were able to network, and now so they're able to call anybody on any issues to do that. Another example also would be the Amish population. Even though I didn't mention them here, but in Maryland, in St. Mary's County, we do have Amish community, which is very close community. But once we develop a relationship again with them, then they become your friends, and you can provide information or any needs. You can address any needs they have. As you know, tobacco used to be the most grown vegetable in southern Maryland, and then farmers took the tobacco buyout money to stop producing tobacco so that they can diversify into other enterprises. But still, the Amish population, they are still growing tobacco, so they weren't allowed to take that tobacco buyout money. Now, what we have done, what the Small Farm Institute has done, is to look for the marketing specialists to connect that farming community, which is the Amish, to these marketing specialists who is based in Washington, D.C., so that they can grow some of those eating vegetables like eggplant, which we call garden egg. And that eggplant is special because it's only for African population. So they're able to grow abundantly and serve the Washington, D.C. market with eggplant or garden egg.
Great. So I don't see any other questions at this point for part one, Stefan. I think you can move on to part two when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Northeast Regional Center for Rural Development is the one hosting this webinar. And like I said, so I just project the mission here is to address issues facing rural communities that are often multi-state in scope and require faculties from several disciplines to resolve. That's for all the regional center for rural development. But my connection with the eastern region, northeast region, was to bring my experience of extension into this group so that we can address some of the goals that have been mentioned here. I will not read them, but they are on the website. As you see, if you click on that link, you will have access to Northeast Regional Center for Rural Development. Actually, Dr. Gold with on the call today is one of our partner programs. Let me talk a little bit about the small farm program. Here at the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, there is what we call a small farm program, and we have a coordinator. By the way, when you look on the top of that slide, the farmer you see to the left is from Togo, and his name is Mr. Yao Afanchao, and this is basically the research farm where we had ethnic vegetables growing, and he was the one actually very helpful. He was helpful in bringing this program to the university because he was struggling in how to manage the operation or the production process. And on this call also, there's a market, especially in the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. area, where you have international stores that sell those type of products. And Dr. Schulter was able to, and Mr. Yao, they were able to put together a smokehouse, which is a mobile smokehouse. And so it can be moved from one point to the next on the trailer, where they experiment different process of smoking fish. And what is amazing is the machine can also dry any type of produce, and they have been successful doing that. And then the gentleman to your right is a researcher, is in entomology, and Gary Dabley, he is now half-time retired, but he's still working at the university trying to help small farms succeed in what they do, what they do, especially in pest management. That's especially. Oh, by the way, going back there, I was talking about garden eggs. They seems to be testing the garden egg at the farm, and Dr. Dabley happened to be in West Africa for a few years to do some research, and that's how he was introduced to those ethnic vegetables. The coordinator for the small farms here at the UMES is Baron Rogers, and Baron comes with very talented experience from small farms, and he is the one who put together the small farm conference that we had over the weekend, where it drew about over 200 people, farmers in the area, addressing so many issues. Basically, we had a lady who came and gave a talk on PSA, how they started from the beginning with so many issues, and in the end, they became very well established. And sharing those tips so that the farmers who came to the conference, they can be successful in what they do. We also had farmers who grow especially vegetables come and show their view of what they do and giving some tips. And also somebody who is in the marketing business and training them on how to be effective in the production process, but also how they can reach people like him to sell their produce at wholesale level. So that's one side. The other side is the 2501, which has been called now the Outreach and Assistance for Socially Disadvantaged Farmers and Ranchers. Dr. Barron, Mr. Rogers run that program, and I am the co-director for that program. So usually, because USDA programs are not really known among minority farmers, so the goal of this program is to explore most of the USDA programs that are being offered to the farmers. We have Farm Service Agency, we have NRCS. So those programs, usually traditional farmers are able to access them, but our own farmers, the minority and beginning and limited resource farmers, they are not able to access those. So this program helps reach that special segment of the population. Basically, we help them acquire land, own land, operate land, and also retain land. There was a time where when I first started out with this program, I would go to the farm, and then they wouldn't want to hear anything that the government is offering. I think because of the that experience that the farmers had in the past, but because of the connection with the university, we were able to convince them to be able to take advantage of those programs. As I mentioned, this was the 7th annual Small Farm Conference that we had here last weekend. We start Friday and we finish on Saturday. Here on campus of UMES, we have hotel and restaurant management department, and that area has an hotel that our students use to practice what they learn, but at the same time, we use that also to provide lodging for our guests and our farmers, where our guests over the last weekend, and we were able to bring them on Friday for those coming from far away and have them stay on campus so that they can they can go to those training on Friday afternoon, but also for the whole day on Saturday. Usually it works very well, and it creates that intimacy and that relationship, especially the reception on Friday evening, where we have free time, very relaxing environment, where we introduce ourselves and have those farmers connect with us. And by the same token, we also bring the USD officials, for instance, John, who is in charge of John Hall, who is in charge of the NLCS for the region, was able to make it, and some policy advocates from DC, Washington DC, for instance, the Rural Coalition, they were able to make it this time, and they had time to mingle with those farmers and what they have to say. On the other hand, Dr. Handworker, Tom Handworker, is in charge, is actually the director of the Small Farm Institute, and I am coordinating that effort. So what he does, as you see, you have some orchids on the top of the slide, as you see below the 1890 extension program. Those orchids are grown here on campus. And you see on the right-hand corner, you have a series of construction there. It's or structure. It's a greenhouse where those orchids are being grown there. Very, very big enterprise, and this is the work of the Small Farm Institute. But before that, we also had our small farmers contracting with Bell Nursery, where they will grow to the standard of Bell Nursery, but they grow those flowers, especially Poinsettia for Christmas. They grow them in the greenhouse, and when it comes time to sell them, so Bell Nursery comes and buy them directly from the farmers, which is a very secure channel of giving secure income to our farmers. Again, so yeah, Tom is the director of that program, and I help coordinate the activities of the Small Farm Institute. As you can see, this is my website, to the Rest of Maryland Extension, where we provide assistance. Sometimes farmers or even private entity will call, but then we direct them to different agencies within the state, because the extension program is all over the state of Maryland. If they're calling from Washington County or from Federal County, so we don't have to travel that far, so we just recommend them to the office which is near them, so that they can get training or get answer to the question. As a matter of fact, I was in the office last month, and somebody called from Montgomery County. Montgomery is the richest county in Maryland, on the I-270 corridor, and very wealthy environment. So farmers call and they ask, what do you think I should go into in terms of production? And then we start discussing different candidates, and then I advise him to go maybe through nursery, because that area of that part of the state, most farmers specialize in either cut flowers or nurseries, so that they can you can focus on those enterprises and activity that I was in charge that I started sharing in the beginning in regards to Small Farm Institute were specialty crops. We actually produced a handbook on how to grow and market ethnic vegetables. There is a website here called MarylandEthnicVegetable.com. There are information there on the production, but also on the marketing side, where people can get information on how to grow and how to sell and where to sell those ethnic vegetables. I will take an example, a very big example. Actually, the farmer who came to give a presentation over last weekend is U.S. citizen, and he's actually a Caucasian farmer, but his target, his audience, when he grows those ethnic vegetables, is the ethnic population. And he shared with us, he was saying that one day he took his produce to the farm, to the farmer's market, and then one of his colleague farmers is asking him, "Hey, why are you selling wheat?" And he said, "No, this is no wheat." So a minute later, one customer came and said, "Oh," and then he just gave him a hug and saying that you just have what I need. And so he bought amaranth because I pick wheat here in the United States, but it's amaranth on scientific word. So they grow on white, but there is a market for it because people recognize that it's a vegetable. He also mentioned that some of the crops that people don't eat here, but because of his market, people are able to recognize him when he comes to the when he goes to the farmers market. People will come looking for him, and that has helped him build that special bond and relationship. One of the publication I had on demographic and ethnic change over the United States, especially in Mid-Atlantic, I was saying that when people move to a new area, usually they tend to give their eating a habit. So that's one of them. So once they have been introduced to those vegetables during their young age, when they move to a new part of the world, they still keep those habits. And if they're able to see or buy those vegetables or those produce, then they will, their life will be very happy. I make a joke. I said to my kids that I cannot eat McDonald's from Monday to Saturday, but they do. So I will be glad to see those amaranthus or callaloo. That's in Jamaica, how they call it. So people are able to access those foods that they are familiar with, and it makes their day. Now, let me shift a little bit, talk about our students. I have conducted two research now focusing on small farm issues and mainly targeting our undergraduate students. Last year, we sent out a survey on the ethnic vegetables on Eastern Shore to see what are the factors that cause people or farmers not to go into those growing ethnic or specialty crops. Now, my understanding was that gender, race, and risk issues will have a negative impact on adoption of those new crops or new vegetables. But again, when running regression models, we didn't find that connection. So there was no statistically significant when it comes to gender. The assumption was that if you are a female, you will be more inclined to adopting ethnic vegetables. And when it comes to race, if you are Caucasian, you are less likely to adapt ethnic vegetables. And if you are perceived more open, and most likely we need to adapt those new vegetables. And also, it's labor requirement, so it's labor intensive. If you have more labor, folks will be also able to adapt to this vegetable. Currently, we just received a small grant on IPM, and we're trying to look at the IPM practices, just the integrated pest management. When we had a conference over last weekend, I had the opportunity to test a little bit with the survey I had to see how farmers respond to the knowledge of IPM practices. I think that preliminary survey is indicating that the majority of the small farmers did not even know what IPM was, so which means that we need sincerely to implement those programs with our farmers. I talked about collaboration. Looks like I don't have much time, but I just mentioned briefly that we are working with Northeast Regional Center for Rural Development with Dr. and trying to look at viability of small farms using principle of network sciences, and that's underway. And also, my connection with the center is to help in any way I can. And now we're reviewing some program projects. We collaborate normally with Delaware State University because of our region, so it's close in the area. So we collaborate with Andy and Dr. Hetzel in the extension, but also some people in the research department. I will stop here and take questions for a few minutes we have.
So do we have any questions? Please go ahead and type them in. And while we're waiting, I'm going to send one through, Stefan, that I'm just curious how closely you're working with other small farm centers or programs throughout the region.
Yes, as I mentioned, there is IPM, Northeast IPM Center, which is actually located on your campus at Cornell.
Yep.
And I am involved with them when it comes to reaching small farms. We have a working group called Small Farm Working Group.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we're back on now. Can everybody hear us now? Okay. Okay, good. Sorry about that. So did we have any other questions for Stefan?
So that doesn't mean that some of the part of the talk was not understood, maybe.
You might just repeat what you were saying about the last part, Stefan. You started off.
Yeah, I will go back to.
I think you're okay. I think it just happened when you started to address that last question and you were talking about the IPM Center at Cornell, the
Oh, okay.
Northeast
Yeah,
one.
I was saying that besides the Northeast Regional Center for Rural Development, the Small Farm Program here collaborates also with IPM, Northeast IPM Center, which is located on a campus at Cornell. And beside that, I also belong to NIFI, New Immigrant Farming Initiative, where we try to work and address the issue facing immigrants.
Okay. I have another question, but certainly don't want to monopolize this. So if other folks have questions, again, please send them in. We've got just about 3 minutes left. The last one is just how much, I know you mentioned helping farmers with land access, but it occurs to me in what I know about some of the beginning farmer programs, that's a pretty big issue. Is that for you down with the Maryland program?
Yeah, it is an issue. Actually, when we were at the conference over the weekend, a farmer complained that he had access to a public land in the community, but now the community in Prince George County where he lives, they would like to take it over for golf course. So
Mm.
that's an issue.
Hmm.
What we try to do is to make connect farmers who are in need of land to those who have land, but so that they can rent, not for ownership, but just for renting the land. And in Maryland, they used to have a link program where they link the young farmers with the old farmers. That program is not really up and running the way it should, because even over the weekend, some farmers ask the same questions. Because I don't know the status of the program now, but according to that discussion, it looks like the it's not running like the one in New England. One farmer mentioned that.
Okay. All right, so I don't see any other questions coming in, and I have about 11:29, so I'm just gonna share some closing comments, and if anybody does have a quick last one, feel free to plug it in that last few minutes. So overall, just on behalf of the center, I want to thank everybody again for joining us, and in particular, thank Stefan Tubene for this very good presentation. I'm sorry we didn't have more folks on, but Mary and I were just talking about emailing this link to this presentation and just letting others throughout the Northeast at other small farms program know about it, and also to the National Small Farms Program so they can get it out if folks have would have then an opportunity to click to the archived recording and share in this information, which I think has been very good. So thank you, Stefan, very much. I just want to remind folks, too, that next month in December, we will be back with Dr. Kathleen Liang with the University of Vermont in Burlington, and she's going to share her work focusing, we think at this point it might change a little bit, but relating to helping communities work with recent immigrant populations. So it's a nice connection to what some of the stuff that Stefan was talking about today. Her presentation is on Friday, December 10th, and again, participation instructions can be found at the NERCRD homepage, and we'll also be of course, marketing that as we get closer to the date. So if you or anybody else that's on today would like to share some of your work through the center's webinar series, we're looking for other folks, and we have several through next spring, but we're always happy to do that. So let us know. My email is hmm1@cornell.edu, and I'll type that into the box. And with that, again, thank you all very much, and we'll be signing off.
Thank you. Thank you.